It is October, and I have 10 horror movies that you may have heard of, but never got around to checking out that I absolutely think you should, and probably a few you haven't heard of as well that are well worth viewing this Halloween season. Let's dig right in, and I'm going to start with one everyone has heard of, and that is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. And the reason I'm going to start off with this is because it got a really bad rap when it first came out. It's definitely a misunderstood horror movie, and I think it deserves way more love than it has gotten. Obviously, when it first came out, it just completely threw audiences off because again, it followed Halloween 1 and 2, but there was no Michael Myers. He was nowhere to be found. The marketing didn't help at all, and people were expecting another masked slasher sequel with the iconic James T. Kirk or William Shatner mask. But if they had just released Season of the Witch as a horror movie, didn't have Halloween 3 in there, didn't connect it to Halloween at all, I think it would have done a lot better than it did initially. It's definitely got this cool, weird, creepy vibe to it. It is a absolute fun slice of 80s horror. And I think it's earned what has now become a sort of a cult status. So if you never got around to seeing it because of all the horrible things you heard, I definitely think you ought to check it out. Directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, produced, of course, by John Carpenter. And it was supposed to kick off Carpenter's this original idea he had of a Halloween franchise, which is to make a different horror movie and story set around Halloween night that comes out every year. And so this delivered something completely different than what people were used to. It's a little part sci-fi, part supernatural thriller, part mystery, and of course it centers around this sinister company that manufactures Halloween masks with this horrifying secret, but it has this great atmosphere. I think that's what sets it apart in terms of the way that the movie was filmed. It's it has this eerie, small town Halloween vibe, which of course we got from the first two. Maybe that's about the only thing that is similar to it. It's got this creepy, so unsettling corporate conspiracy, which I think a lot of people should be able to identify with nowadays. This surreal, it's not almost like this dreamlike, this quality, and it's helped by, of course, Carpenter's haunting synth score that absolutely nails the tone 100%. There's a strong performance by Tom Atkins as sort of the everyman who's trying to uncover the truth about what's going on. And the story definitely gets a little strange, but that is what makes it so fun. So even without Michael Myers yet using the Halloween name, it's definitely an inventive, imaginative, creepy, entertaining horror movie that I think deserves a second look. So if you haven't checked it out because of the Halloween name and the things you heard about for that reason, definitely give it a look. Pure 80s horror energy without a doubt. And hopefully it finally is starting to get the recognition that it should have had back in the day. And that brings us to the second movie, Dead and Breakfast, which came out in 2004. I love this movie, absolute blast. It is a horror comedy that doesn't take itself too seriously all the time. By the way, I really should say I don't want to throw you off and throw you away from it. It's really a musical horror comedy, and that is exactly what makes it so damn fun. It's kind of like a mix between the Evil Dead and Shaun of the Dead and maybe a little bit of a oh man, backwards musical. So maybe that's more like Wrong Turn, Children of the Corn, but musical. Yeah, you heard that right. Anyway, it is gory, it is goofy, it's full of a ton of personality from start to finish. You follow this group of friends, they stop for a night in a small town, obviously, bed and breakfast, hence the name of the movie. They find themselves trapped in this absolute blood-soaked nightmare. There's a mysterious curse that unleashes the undead, and it leans full into its campy tone. It's packed with man over the top gore, clever one-liners, creative zombie mayhem, fantastic cast. Everett Carradine, Gina Phillips, Jeremy Sisto. The rest is good. They know exactly what type of movie they're in, and they play it to perfection. Play it to perfection in terms of playing it straight in the middle of all this absurdity, which just makes it even funnier. Jeffrey Dean Morgan pops up. He's the local sheriff, adding some charm, maybe a little harm too. You'll have to watch. And like I said, it's unexpected use of music, hence why I said musical. It's really kind of wild. It's Oh man, how do I put this? It's narrated through this kind of hilarious country western, or through these hilarious country western songs, which makes it very, very unique, gives it its offbeat energy. So it is definitely, it never became a mainstream hit, although it won a ton of fans on the festival circuit. But if you love splatter, satire, horror comedy, zombie movies, that cast that I named, which is excellent, you've got to check out Dead and Breakfast. And that brings us to number three, which is a completely different type of movie, and that is The Autopsy of James Doe, which a more recent one came out in 2016. It is one of those rare horror films that manages to be both unsettling and yet completely captivating from start to finish, even though it is, understand, a very much a slow burn. And I say that for these movies that are, because for a lot of people in this day and age, they can't sit through it. But and for me, a slow burn, I get it. It can be boring, but if it's very well written, very well acted, very well shot, a slow burn is going to go fast for you, just like any other movie. And this is one checking out. It has Brian Cox and Emil Hirsch. Slow burn, like I said, this sort of this atmospheric horror movie. So you just, it shows you don't need jump scares every 5 seconds in a horror movie. You don't need over the top gore. Just sometimes the mood, the mystery, fantastic, masterful storytelling. It takes place entirely inside this small town morgue. Brian Cox and Emil Hirsch are a father-son team of coroners. They're working late. They're trying to identify this mysterious young woman that was found dead under these bizarre circumstances. And of course, as they begin the autopsy, they uncover one disturbing clue after another, shall we say, but it is absolutely fantastic. This is a movie you need to check out. A quiet, chilling gem, chilling gem of modern horror. Definitely a slow burn. It is well worth checking out. I promise you, you want to see The Autopsy of Jane Doe. And we move on to number four, Ouija, Origin of Evil. And yes, this is the sequel. And why do I say the sequel? Because the first one was not that well received. It was not that good. The second one is a much, much better film. It is one of those rare cases where the sequel ends up being far better than the original. And, to make it even a little confusing for you, the sequel is actually a prequel. That's right. Or an Origin of Evil, if in case you saw the first one and said you don't want to watch this, it changed the tone of the first one completely. It delivers a genuinely creepy, well-made supernatural thriller. It's directed by Mike Flanagan, who since he's become a major name in horror with The Haunting of Hill House and Doctor Sleep. So this is something you want to see. It's got great direction, it's got strong storytelling, and I mean, I don't know if there'll be a third. I don't think there was a third, but it definitely turned things around for, I guess what we'll say at this point is we'll call it a franchise, although I don't think it's there yet. But this goes all the way back and is set in the 1960s, follows a widowed mother, her two daughters. They run this fake seance business out of their home. And of course, then they add a Ouija board to their act, and things take a terrifying turn as one of the daughters becomes the vessel for something dark and powerful. But this is definitely has an old school horror vibe, feels classic. It's patient again, a bit of a slow burn. It's character driven, and it focuses more on atmosphere and story than, again, like I said, with the Autopsy of Jane Doe than it does on jump scares. Performances are absolutely fantastic. The direction shines. The camera work is great. The period detail, the subtle visual tricks that keep you uneasy even in quiet moments. It is a huge, huge improvement over the first movie. A strong horror movie in its own right. Smart, surprisingly emotional. It's something you absolutely should check out. And for number five, we are going to go way back now to 1987. Prince of Darkness, none other than John Carpenter, and maybe his most underrated, which is why it's in here, and also unsettling. This is again, another slow burn. Maybe that's the theme of this list, which I didn't realize when I was putting it together. A slow burn. They're not all slow burns, I promise. Horror masterpiece. It dives deep into more cosmic and existential terror. Look, I get Carpenter's best known for the immediate visceral scares of, say, Halloween, or the shape-shifting paranoia of The Thing. Prince of Darkness is not that. It's a very different approach. The horror is not hiding in the shadows. It's creeping up from the very fabric of reality itself. We follow some grad students and scientists. They gather in an abandoned Los Angeles church. They study a mysterious cylinder, a swirling green liquid that just might be the physical embodiment of Satan. And of course, Carpenter, as he's known to do, masterfully builds the tension. The movie unfolds slowly. It's layered with unsettling imagery, bizarre discoveries that chip away at your sense of understanding of what is going on. If you have not seen it, I absolutely recommend Prince of Darkness. And now we're going to come back a little farther forward, or well, I guess we're going still back from 2025. Death Gasm. This is going back to like Dead and Breakfast. This is more, again, Shaun of the Dead, maybe Evil Dead 2 again. It is pure 100% heavy metal mayhem in movie form. Wild, blood-soaked horror comedy, funny and gloriously gory, over the top gore. But like I said, if you like Shaun of the Dead, Evil Dead 2, this one is going to be right up there for you. It is loud, it is over the top. You've got a group of, well, I guess I should say just say a band. I'll say a group, yeah, but a band, and they find that they can summon demons through sheet music, and then after that, it becomes very much a zombie movie. It turns into this headbanging, chainsaw swinging, blood splattering, 100% good time. A zombie apocalypse by way of heavy metal. But there's a lot of heart, a lot of creativity in this as well behind all that fantastic gore. The characters are likable, they seem genuine. The friendship kind of grounds everything in a little bit of emotion, which always makes it more fun. But no misunderstanding. This film is here to deliver carnage, absolutely top-notch practical effects, inventive kills, absolutely outrageous kills, and the sheer amount of fake blood could probably fill a swimming pool. And number seven, Hell House, LLC, another movie like Deathgasm, in case I didn't mention it, from 2015. And this is a found footage movie. And I know a lot of people are turned off by that because as this happens, you had the Blair Witch Project, of course. And as it happens with any type of movie, you then get a lot of imitators that get rushed to market to make a quick buck, and the quality suffers and people get turned off. But this is one of those rare found footage films that absolutely nails it. Creepy, believable. The tension building is fantastic. It's exactly the way a good ghost story should be. Slowly, quietly, just enough realism to make you wonder if what you're watching could actually happen. Now, when I say found footage, it kind of plays out like a documentary. You got a group of friends, so they decide to open a haunted house attraction. So this is very much in time for Halloween, in an abandoned hotel. So they move in, they start setting up the props, the lights, the scares. You basically are watching them build this haunted house, and everything seems to be going great. Of course, until it isn't going great. And, as they get ready for their opening night, you got strange things that start to happen. The footage slowly reveals just how horrifying the place truly is. And what makes this stand out, what makes Hell House LLC stand out, is its authenticity. And by the way, just in those 10 years, I think I managed to like five sequels that quickly, which is wild. But it's the set, right? The setup feels very natural. The cast feel like real people building this haunted house together, and they just happen to be filming it. The filmmaking, because of that, it makes the horror feel organic rather than stage. You're drawn into the story through interviews, recovered footage, news clips. It is a very, very well done mix that gives this film, like I said, this realistic documentary feel. Now the scares are subtle and incredibly effective. Like again, you're not getting a bunch of cheap scares. But Hell House LLC. I wish they'd take that LLC out. It's a great example of how to do found footage the right way. Atmospheric, smartly constructed, genuinely unnerving. If you're a fan of haunted house stories, this one is for you. Go check out Hell House LLC. Number eight, The Void. The Void 2016. The Void is dark. There is not humor in The Void. And does it sound like there should be? No, it is relentless. It is creepy. It is deeply unnerving. It is a slice of cosmic horror that feels like it just crawled straight out of the 1980s in the best possible way. If you are familiar with great 80s horror, directed by Steven Kostansky and Jeremy Gillespie, this film, it does not rely, like I said, it is not relying on humor. It is not relying on jump scares. This is a grim one, folks. So if that's not your thing, this isn't for you. This is serious. This is drenched in blood-soaked atmosphere from the very beginning. It kicks off. They got a small town cop. He discovers a man bleeding on the side of the road, takes him to a hospital. But as night falls, the hospital becomes surrounded by these hooded cultists. And of course, inside, something that is going to be truly horrifying begins to awaken. And from there, the void spirals into a nightmarish blend of body horror, if that's your thing, cosmic dread. And yes, you know what this reminds me of? LP. Now I got that LLC in my head. HP Lovecraft. I mean, and this movie makes no bones about it. It wears its influences proudly. It's also got a little bit of John Carpenter, similar to Prince of Darkness. So you'll feel right at home there watching this as well. The practical effects, absolutely outstanding stuff, grotesque, disturbingly real. There is definitely this old school quality to the gore that gives every creature and transformation a fantastically sickening weight that you can practically feel. And it has, believe it or not, a surprisingly intellectual edge that will also make you think a little bit as it explores themes of loss, obsession, the human urge to control things we barely understand. The Void is so effective in how it blends that 80s practical horror with a more modern, this existential fear, as I just mentioned. It's haunting, it is grotesque, it sticks with you long after the credits roll. So if you're in the mood for something dark, something gory and genuinely terrifying that feels like a lost Carpenter film from another dimension, you've got to check out The Void. Intentional, brutal, great example of modern horror done right. And that brings us to number 9, Haunt from 2019. Another hidden horror gem that somehow slipped under most people's radar, but it absolutely deserves your attention. This is fast paced. This is a mean spirited slasher that does not waste a single minute. Brutal, intense, easily one of the scariest haunted house movies of the last decade. Follows a group of friends on Halloween night. They decide to check out an extreme haunted attraction on the edge of town. You know, one of those places that promises real fear. And they definitely get what they are paying for and then a little extra. So, what starts out of this night of Halloween thrills quickly turns into a fight for survival as the line between actors and actual killers disappears completely. It's directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. They're the same team that wrote A Quiet Place. Okay. And you can feel that same tight sense of tension in Haunt. Again, the pacing is relentless. This is not a slow burn. The atmosphere is thick with dread and the unaliving, absolutely vicious. This movie does not hold back in any way. Every set piece is designed to make you squirm. Practical effects, absolutely fantastic, but it's so good in how well it uses its setting. The attraction itself kind of becomes this maze of terror-filled hidden traps, eerie sound design, mass killers. It is very, very unsettling. You might not want to go into a haunted house this year if you watch it before then. So the production design needs some absolute credit. No, again, like The Void, no tongue-in-cheek humor here, folks. No meta commentary. They play it straight, and that's part of what makes it so, so effective. Definitely go check out The Haunt if that sounds like something you would enjoy. Number 10, Revenge. A great from 2017, a great title for a revenge movie. If you like revenge movies, this is for you. Now, I say that, but I also say it's not necessarily your typical revenge thriller. It is raw, it is brutal. It is this incredibly well-crafted explosion of fury and survival. It is written and directed by Coralie Farget. I think you say it Farget, right? Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments below. I butcher names all the time. I apologize. Now, who is Coralie? Coralie recently gained a lot more attention for The Substance, but Revenge was her first feature film, and it is a fantastic debut. You could see that there was going to be good things to follow. It takes a familiar premise, and but it just it cranks up, not the whole thing, it cranks up every single element to borrow a phrase from This Is Spinal Tap, cranks it all up to 11, not 10, 11. It delivers a blood soaked, visually stunning And yeah, surprisingly empowering ride. Follows a young woman who is, I will just say, brutally attacked and leave it at that, and left for dead in the desert. But she doesn't. And that is the mistake of the three men who brutally attacked her, because she rises, literally and metaphorically. And what follows is just absolute mayhem. It is relentless, no holds barred fight for survival and vengeance and, revenge, right? This is not a movie about fear or victimhood in any way. It's about taking back power in the absolute most brutal, most visceral way possible. Coralie, just she's got this artistic eye to what really could have just been another exploitation film. The cinematography, fantastic, gorgeous. We got sun-baked landscapes. We got neon colors, blood red symbolism. Every frame is absolutely fantastic. Every shot just completely energetic. And man, when that violence comes, it is intense. It is shocking. It is over the top in the best way possible, and it's a little stylized as well, but it never feels like it's cheap. Matilda Lutz gives a fantastic performance as the lead. She transforms from this carefree weekend guest person to this absolutely unstoppable force of nature in a way that feels both believable and cathartic. And by the final act, you're not just watching her survive, folks. You are cheering for her to burn it all down, burn it down and salt the earth, my friends. This is hardcore too. Okay, make no mistake. It is bloody. It is loud. It doesn't pull a single punch. But beneath all that carnage is a film that's smart, right? That's where it always starts. The story. It is a well-written story. It always starts with the word. That's what separates great movies from good ones or ones. It is a statement piece as much as it is a thrill ride. So if you're into revenge movies, this one absolutely nails it. Bold, fierce, unforgettable, fantastic example of how to take a familiar genre and make it completely fresh again. I am going to leave it there. Hopefully, there's something for you in this list that you will enjoy. I try to cover a little bit of everything, hardcore comedy, the whole deal. Let me know your comments in the comments below if you've seen any of these, if you plan to, what you think, what sounds interesting, and of course, any of your other horror movies that aren't your typical big names that end up on every list that you see. Do me a favor, smash the like button as well, subscribe to the channel. It really helps out so much, and I do appreciate it. Go have an incredible day, and I will talk to you later.